I don't know. I've seen it. I've done it. I know that it happens, and I know that you need to protect yourself if you're vulnerable. So shut that tab. Don't look at Facebook anymore tonight. It'll all be there in the morning. And then don't look at it then, unless you feel better in the daylight. Sometimes you feel better in the daylight. If you're sitting here at night and thinking that this is it, you're just completely had it and everything is crashing down and you're having a drink like I am, please know that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. I don't know when, but it's going to come up tomorrow and everything is going to look better. And tomorrow is like any other day. Christmas, schmissmas, whatever. Let it go. And fuck the 25th being the only day that we can celebrate Christmas. And I know that many people celebrate on different days. Okay, and tomorrow, just because you're not with your family or with your children or you've lost a loved one, or you've lost your house, or, we just had a house fire in town. These people do not have their home at Christmas. Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. It ends up making things that are hard even worse and more difficult. Which is why the suicide hotlines are they're on fire at this time of year. Because it's really difficult to handle all of this forced joy. I walked into Macy's the other night. We were in New York or Connecticut on our way back from a memorial service and, trying to catch up on Christmas shopping, and walked into Macy's at 7:00 at night after having a pint at a restaurant, and everything was so goddamn shiny. And there are people buzzing around everywhere, and I couldn't even make it 10 feet in the door without turning right around and leaving. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can barely do it on a good day. I can't do it at 7:00 at night after a long day of traveling and a memorial service. I just couldn't do it. And that was really trivial and a real small reaction on my part. I just knew that I had to get out of there. And I hope that you know that you can pull you can push the ejection button at any time. What I mean by that is when you're feeling overwhelmed and that's it, you can't, I'm done with this situation. Check out. Not by alcohol or, remove, excuse yourself. Get a hall pass. Take a break. For safety's sake, as they say. So if you're still with me, we're almost 20 minutes in, and I want to tell you a story about my Christmases over the past 3 or 4 years. In 2016, that was my first Christmas not without the children. I just was not invited to go to the in-laws' house. And so I got to see the kids on Christmas Eve. And they woke up with us in the home and we had regular Christmas morning. And then I think I took them to my parents' house, and then I dropped them off at his house and I went home. And they didn't understand why I was not coming in. But I was not welcome and didn't want to be there. And so that was the first time that I was not at a family celebration, one which I have fond memories of. And then fast forward to 2017, when I lived finally in my own place. I was on my own, and the kids had Christmas with Dad that year. And he would not answer any of my messages. I was a basket case, not having them on Christmas Eve, not being able to read the night before Christmas, all of those traditions that we had done for the past 11 years was gone. And so I was a mess. I was a wreck. I don't know. Well, I do know how I survived that night. My friends who rent me this home, who created this home for me, stayed up Christmas Eve painting the walls of the apartment that I had just moved into. That's in their house. And so we spent the evening painting. So it was a working Christmas Eve. Painting and crying is what I did. Painted and cried. It was a complete wreck. And then, went to my mom's house on Christmas Day, 2017. And still hadn't heard a word from the kids, nothing. And I knew what it was. I knew exactly what it was. I've lived with this person for years. Punishment, his favorite form of punishment to me is just to ignore me. And, even though I could see it for what it was so painful, so painful. And the reason why it's painful is because, this is what I do anyway, is I can see, or I imagine reality through everyone's eyes. And so I imagine the reality through the children's eyes and how I wasn't there. This was the first Christmas that I wasn't there. So I was concerned about how they were feeling and doing with me not there. And he ignored me. And so I felt like, it didn't matter. He certainly didn't think so. And so I felt like I was a ghost. And I probably would have not made it that night if it weren't for the people who are around me. And for my mom and my stepdad who encouraged me to come across the street to their church. And I sat there at church that night. And I'm not a churchgoer. I'm not a Christian. I grew up practicing Christianity with my family, but I'm not. I sat there and I cried the entire time. Because it's all baby Jesus that and the mother and child this. And, sitting through that was hell. Because here I was, a mother, and I am probably the best thing I've done in life. The best thing, something I'm really good at, is being a mother. And I spent every waking minute of my life involved with those children from sunup to sundown and beyond. To not have them there with me was like having limbs removed. It was the worst feeling ever. So that was awful. That was awful. 2018 rolled around and I had the children for Christmas. And I made sure that I sent pictures to Dad of them. Because I knew what it felt like to be cut off. And again, I didn't want... I would rather him not feel that, even though he might have deserved it. But 2018 was under my control, and we celebrated Christmas as if it were Yule, with more pagan undertones than anything. Celebrating nature, celebrating the guarantee that the sun is going to be at its lowest point in the sky, and then it's going to start returning. That happens every year. You know what doesn't happen every year is, the hallmark vision of snow, or, it's not guaranteed that you're going to have enough money to buy the same amount of presents the year before. Like all of that stuff, those are false idols, false ideals. And the reason why we're so pained at this Christmastime is because we're set up to fail unless we take it back under our control. And so I did. That year I did. That was what I've always wanted, was to see the celebration at the end of the year, of the celebration of us as, Earth residents. Because there's nothing more real than that. There's nothing more real than taking up space on the earth and being influenced. And, we depend fully, and our lives depend on the sun and the light coming and going. Like that shit's real. And I don't want to be insulting to the world's religions, because I appreciate that. I appreciate what they are. I minored in religion. I'm so interested in it. But when it comes to my personal mental health, I need to have something concrete. And so my Christmas celebration, Yule, solstice, took on those aspects in 2018. And it was a beautiful celebration. And I took the kids to church. I took them to church on Christmas Eve. And I would have taken them to, other churches as well. Like, I'd love for them to discover how other people celebrate this time of year. To me, I'm not a heathen. I can go, I don't know. That's backing up here. I'm not going to go down that route. But just so you know that I appreciate the world's religions, and I'm not ignorant to them. So yeah, that was beautiful. Now we're at 2019. And it's 9:45 at night, and I'm here in my living room by myself with my cat, with a glass of wine. The Christmas tree is lit. The lights are lit outside. The house is so beautiful, and it's warm, and I'm feeling really, really lucky. This might not have been my reality, but it is, because of so many good people, and so I appreciate